back again with another book review. We have Gateway by Frederik Pohl, which you probably can figure out based on the title of the video and the thumbnail of me probably going. That's exactly what I'm going to use for my thumbnail, I think. So, Frederik Pohl, Gateway. If you're a science fiction fan, you probably know about this book. It won a Hugo, now let me think, back in 78, 77? When was this? 76 was published, so somewhere around then. Pohl was a prolific writer, famous writer. Before that, he wrote a lot with Kornbluth. Maybe in the 50s, 40s, 50s, I believe. Kind of took sort of a writing hiatus in a way, but stayed very much involved with science fiction. He was an editor for a lot of the mags and anthologies and such. But mostly, I think, several of the different mags that were very prevalent in the 50s and 60s. And then he started writing again more heavily in the 70s. This is probably his most famous work, his most well-known work. And I've been kind of lucky with the random number generator. It picked this one for me. So I've liked the Matheson, the last one, and now Gateway. So the RNG has been kind. But it helps when I've tried to fill my TBR and collection with supposedly good books to read, right? So in this SF Masterworks version, it comes just under 279 pages. The artwork, very generic. Masterwork artwork is hit or miss in my opinion. I have another copy of this, I think with the Boris Vallejo cover. I think that's also off with how the actual ships are described. So we'll get a little bit into what it's about. I don't want to just do like a book synopsis, but more of my thoughts. Anyone can read a book synopsis, but the main character, Robinette, Bob, Robbie, he's called often, grew up poor, grew up on Earth, a future Earth, where food is scarce, and so he works in this food mine that extracts oils from, squeezes all the whatever oil's left in the soil and the rock underground mining, and then they make that into some sort of food paste because it has a lot of calories. Probably not very tasty. However, you come to find out that there is this ancient alien race called the Heechee, that they discovered some tunnels the Heechee dug in Venus, and then from there they found these ships. One of the miners found a ship, got in it, and it took him to this, basically a satellite, almost, I believe it's an asteroid that's been dug into. They call it Gateway, because on Gateway there are docked several hundred of these spaceships, and these spaceships can fit 1, 3, or 5 people. They don't know much about the Heechee at all, and they actually make comments in the book, make jokes that how much we know about the Heechee is like basically nothing at all. And these Heechee ships have the way you fly them. They don't even know how to fly them really, but there's like a little wheel that basically is some sort of 4D or 5D or whatever you want to call it coordinate system in space. And when you dial it in to kind of get lucky and get to an area where this display board lights up different colors, that means the ship will fly there or try to fly there. Some places are too dangerous and it won't let certain ships fly there unless they're more armored. And for reasons being that sometimes I'll get to in a second. The prospectors, they sign up for these Heechee runs or these ship runs where they have no idea where they're going. Basically mostly unprepared. They only have a limited amount of food. So they don't know how long the journey is going to be. They don't know where the journey is going to take them. They don't know what's there. And the whole point of doing it is they want to fly to these planets to find Heechee artifacts to bring back and then make themselves rich. So it's kind of like the future lottery, where when you play the lottery, first it costs you a lot of money to get there. But then when you play that lottery, you could maybe get rich by finding artifacts or maybe some certain scientific discoveries, or you could die, or you could just go and waste months of your life and find nothing and come back empty-handed. Like sometimes they fly these Heechee ships out there and there's just planets and nothing there. Sometimes there's old Heechee artifacts or settlements. Sometimes maybe they think Hichi plugged in these coordinates because there's some scientific discovery to be had or to witness. But whenever the Hichi did this, it was maybe so many years or millennia in the past that whatever was really happening at that time is no longer even occurring anymore to observe, right? So those are kind of the scenarios, and this Bob character ends up finding his way in Gateway. A big part of it's a love story between him and a woman named Clara. And I also want to mention the novel kind of alternates every chapter of, hey, here's Bob's, I'm just going to call him Bob because it's easy, story of how he got the Hichi, and then, some of the prospect journeys, or the, what do they call them, the signing up for a run, or there's a certain word they use for in there, and I'm already forgetting it. So that kind of journey and his time on Gateway and his personal interactions with some different characters. And then in between those, it's him in more present of the book. So a lot of the book is kind of what he did maybe in the last 20 years or so in his life and how he got there. And then intersperses present day time, book present day, not our present day, sometime in the future, of him talking with an AI shrink named psychologist named Sigrid von Shrink. So it's pretty funny. And their interactions there. Now, this kind of takes the book into a look at psychology, 70s, a lot of what makes people tick, their fears, their insecurities, their regrets, and those things. So on that level, it's pretty interesting. And the interactions between Bob and Siegfried, who he resents while also realizing he's helping him and trying to help him. So it's an interesting dynamic there, and his want and need to control things. And hey, you're just a machine. I'm going to be a little you. I'm a human. I'm in control. Why are you asking me these things? And Bob being scared, maybe thoughts of his mom and what happened there with his lovers, and all kind of things like that. Some of it's very 70s-ish kind of psychology in a way, you can kind of tell. Personally, for entertainment-wise, I found the Gateway portions of the Bob's adventure to be the much more entertaining and engaging chapters. Now, the interactions between Bob and Siegfried are interesting. Don't get me wrong, but to me, it's not the highlight of the book. It kind of gives that alternating. Now, the other thing too is the fact that Bob is already there talking to Siegfried. It sort of kind of foreshadows and spoils in a way at the same time. Like, he obviously didn't die. So whatever trips he get as you're reading it, because he's talking about in the past that he was able to come back from. So it kind of, and some bad things happen to some other people by the way he says it, but you just don't know what actually happened or how it happened. So in some ways, it makes it for an interesting narrative, but I also sometimes don't like it as much when they do that. But either way, it's whatever. So he interacts with the Siegfried, and then it goes. Now those chapters are usually quite a bit shorter than the action chapters. And then on Gateway, you get to meet some interesting different characters. Some of the sabotaging things Bob does to himself. Some of the things he does out of fear and anger, and how he's, some of his past life, he has been scarred emotionally and psychologically. So it kind of delves into some of that, but the adventure Hichi stuff where they're going out and discovering things, you can tell how much it's influenced. Like, things like Interstellar has some elements that you could find in Gateway. Now, whether or not they pulled it from Gateway or not, I don't know. But even things like The Expanse, with the ships going out and exploring new worlds because they found an alien technology that can do faster than light travel, where humanity cannot discover that. So I see it influencing a lot of modern science fiction, and I'm sure it. And I think Alistair Reynolds has a little piece in the back of this SF Masterworks where he kind of talks about how much it influenced him and how much it was awesome for him to read it, finding a copy, in the 80s in the UK, early 80s, and it was hard to find and read. So it's definitely influential to a lot of modern science fiction writers and maybe movies. All that being said, I really enjoyed the book. It was kind of a page turner. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know, all he does really good world building, if you want to call it. Normally, typically you find more in like a fantasy type story, or even a, space opera. There's that world building, but it's not in that kind of world building sense. But it's like the rules of how the Hichi ships operate. Hey, there's a turnaround time, which means as they're going in a certain direction, and at the midway point, since it has to speed up that fast to get there, at the midway point, it starts slowing down, decelerating. So they know by figuring out how long it is till that midway point, how long the actual journey will be, then to see if they can eat more food or have to really ration their food and eat less to be able to fly there and make it back, because the ships are basically on autopilot. The people in there just ride in it. They take pictures when they get there, and they can use this little lander that they can kind of control. Other than that, the ships, anyone that tries to change the dials on the ships mid-flight after they've flown, usually they never come back, so they don't know what happens to them. They assume it just takes them off course or it's destroyed or whatever. So lots of I like there's a lot of unknown. You're feeling like you're discovering things along with the characters, and it feels like how humanity, especially maybe in the 70s and even now, how little we still know about space travel, and some of the things that would happen. So that part was really intriguing. So those little rules and this little world he creates, and even in an under 300 page book, he effectively creates a really cool future Earth world where you really dig into the characters and the settings and all that. So I was glued. This is a page turner for me. One night, I mostly read in bed with like a little book light. You recharge with a book light. One night, it probably saved me from having a really, really sleepy work day because my book light died. So I was glued into the story at that point. I probably would have stayed on at least another hour or two and plowed through the book faster had that not occurred. So to me, that's, for myself, one indicator early on of how much I'm at least enjoying the book is how willing I am to keep reading it once I start, and how easy it is for me to go, yeah, I'm going to go downstairs and read that. Or let me go, oh, it's a good time to read. Where some of the books are more of a slog, I end up maybe subconsciously or consciously finding other things to do than going down and read that boring book. So in that way, definitely it has the entertainment value, but I think it also has that quality of writing and topics and interesting scientific discussion, psychological discussion, looking at how people are, their interactions, and some commentary on that. So with all those things, it's a great. I gave it a 5 on Goodreads, I think. So it's a top book for me. It's well regarded, I think, for a good reason. I think it's most likely very deserving of the Hugo it won. So great stuff. Recommend it. To me, it's one of those definitive-ish books of, hey, I want to be a science fiction reader. What are some of the 10, 20, 30 books I should read? I think this would definitely have a case to make it on that list. So this should be my first video. I have a couple more videos ready to go. I'm probably all going to film them in the same shirt and just do them rapid fire here. I got another review and a couple book hauls coming up. So thanks for watching this. If you read all the way through, if you've read Gateway, let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree, and appreciate it.